everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my 12 Days of Christmas series. If you're not already a subscriber, make sure you subscribe and click on the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I release a new video and you don't miss any in the series. So for today's card, I'm going to be making a Christmas card, and this is going to be a slimline card using the products that you see here. These are from the Stamps of Life. We have the Slimline card die set, which includes this large die to make your card base for a slimline card. It also includes this layering piece for the front of your card and also this fun background die that you can use for the front of your card. I'm also going to be bringing in the train dies from the Stamps of Life, and I thought that this would be so cute to put on a slimline card and just put little presents and little things and holiday wintry things on this train, and I am just so excited about making this card with you today. So starting out, I have a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock. This is what the packaging looks like. It's Strathmore Bristol Smooth. And I'm taking my large layering die and I'm just going to cut this so that it's a little bit larger than that die, because I'm going to do some ink blending, and then after I do the ink blending, I'm going to cut this out. So again, just make sure it's a little bit larger than that die so that when you do die cut it, you have plenty of cardstock there to die cut. So I'm going to start out by just adding some tape to the back of my card layer, and I'm going to just tape this down to my class mat so that it does not move. And I'm using the blueberry and the Midnight inks from the Stamps of Life. And I'm going to start out with my Midnight ink, and I'm going to put my Midnight ink all around the edges. I'm going to come in with my blueberry ink and I'm going to fill in the center. I'm going to come back in with my Midnight ink and just make this edges a little bit darker to blend these colors together. Next, I'm going to take my Slimline card die. This is the drop-in die with the pretty background with the stars and almost looks like a snowflake background. And I'm going to layer the large rectangle die around that so I can cut the background out of the cardstock. So you want to make sure that when you have this drop-in background die that it is centered and even all around. So add some washi tape just to make sure that this is even and run this through your die cut machine. So once I die cut that out, this is going to be a card layer for my card, and you will need to poke out all these little pieces. But before I do that, I just want to throw a little bit more ink on here, only this time I'm going to be using my licorice ink, because I just want to outline some of the edges. So I'm doing this after I do my die cutting. That way I know exactly where my card edges are on my card layer. If I would have done it before I did the die cutting, you see all this extra cardstock that is here, and I just wanted to make sure I got it just on the edge, just to make it look like there's a little bit more nighttime scene to this background. So I'm just going to add some washi tape there, or some purple tape there, and then just come in and just add some dark edges just all the way around, because this is going to be a little bit of a nighttime sky. So just very lightly along the edge, not too far in. Just get a little bit more up here, and then I'm going to come back in with my Midnight and we'll just blend that out. Okay, so next you're going to need to take this same layering die and die cut a piece of white cardstock, and then just add some glue to the back of your background piece and add that to your white piece of cardstock. Now both of these pieces will line up perfectly because they were cut out of the same exact die. And if for some reason you don't get it exactly right, you can always just use your scissors and just trim off any extra that might appear on the edge. So you see right here, I actually had some extra white, so I am just going to use my scissors and just trim that off. It's not a big deal. if you do that, just come underneath and trim off that cardstock that shows, okay? So there's the background piece that we will set aside, and we will start working on our train. Next, we're gonna take a piece of the powdered sugar cardstock, and we are going to cut a cloud border, and this is gonna be for a snowy border. And we are going to start by putting this cloud border at the bottom of the cardstock and just taping it down and running that through our die cut machine. Now when that comes out of the die cut machine, you're going to need to continue this border along the bottom of this cardstock because we are making a slimline card and this border is not large enough for a slimline card. So what we're gonna do is we are going to then connect these borders. So just take your die and just put the die at the edge of the previous border, and then we'll tape that down. So just tape that down and run that through your die cut machine. And then when that comes out of the die cut machine, go ahead and peel back your washi tape, being careful not to tear your cardstock. And now you have a border that will fit along the base of a slimline card. It's perfectly sized. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the train track die from the train dies. And we are going to put this on some black cardstock. This is the licorice cardstock from the Stamps of Life. And run that through your die cut machine. Now with that, it actually cuts the die out, but you're gonna need 2 of these, and then you'll be able to just connect them to fill the base of the slimline card. So here are my 2 train tracks, and it does come with a shadow die, but I'm not going to cut the shadow die. I'm just gonna cut the tracks themselves, and I'm ready to go ahead and assemble this part of my card. So I have my long border, my snowy border, which I will go ahead and adhere down. And I will be adhering this flat to the card. And sometimes I like to make sure that I leave space up at the top of these borders if I wanted to tuck things in, but I am not tucking anything in so that glue can go all the way to the edge. So we're just gonna line this up with the bottom edge of this panel, and then once we have it where we want it, just press down and then take your scissors and turn this over and just trim off the sides that are hanging off of the edge. Okay, and then we'll add our train tracks. So the train tracks will just go in the snow, and I wanna make sure that I put it as close to the edge as I can, so the edge of this card, and then these 2 will be connected. You won't even be able to notice that it is 2 separate pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and raise this up just a tad because I still wanna have some snow at the bottom of this, and then we'll be able to add the second one. Okay, so here I did not put double-sided adhesive on this, so I'm going to have to add glue to each one of these strips. Now, if you are replicating this card and you wanted to put your double-sided adhesive on the back of your black cardstock before running it through your die cut machine, you can totally do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and adhere this first one, making sure it's all the way at the edge, and then press that down. So then we'll do the same thing with the other train track. So just put some glue on those little lines. Notice I'm just putting glue on the one set of lines that are going vertical. I'm not worrying about the horizontal lines. You're not gonna need this entire thing, so I think I probably did plenty. So then just come over here and just connect these lines. And once you have them where you want them, just press down, just gently press down, and then flip this over, and then trim off the rest of these tracks. Now, if you need to save those for any reason, you can. Otherwise, you can just toss that. And here's the start of our card panel. Isn't that cute? I just love that. So using my train dies, I die cut the front part of the train out of this pattern paper. This pattern paper is just a scrap that I had in my stash, and it actually comes from the Hope and Joy collection. It's this piece here. I also die cut this little piece out of just some of the solid red pattern paper pad you can just do, you know, solid cardstock, whatever you want to do for that. And then this piece I cut twice, and that paper is from the Party On collection with the polar bears, and it's the kiwi one. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up the edges. So I have my Stamps of Life strawberry ink, and I'm just going to apply some ink just along the edges of this, just to add some dimension. And I'm going to try and get in these little parts of the cardstock here. It's a little bit hard to do, but do your best. Now the wheels, I mean, technically you don't have to do the wheels because the wheels are going to be covered up. So here I'm just going to ink up this top part. Again, I don't really need to worry about those wheels. So I'm not going to worry about those wheels at all because I'm going to have something covering those. And then I'm going to use my kiwi ink, and we'll do these pieces with the kiwi ink. So now we're going to do the wheels, and I just want to show you what I'm planning on doing for the wheels. I have these little peppermints that I'm going to add on here for the wheels, and they actually fit perfectly over top of those wheels, and I think they turned out super cute. And how I did that is I have this little die from the Gingerbread House Fold It die set from the Stamps of Life. I die cut it once out of the white cardstock, and I die cut it again out of the cranberry cardstock. And it gives you 3 different pieces. So it gives you a completely round back, then it gives you a top layering piece, and then a middle piece if you choose to use that. So for the back, I'm going to use the cranberry, and then for the top, I'm going to use the white, and I'm just going to put. Now, if you wanted to die cut this with some double-sided adhesive, it probably would be good to do that, but I did not, so I just put a little dot of glue on each one of those little flaps there. And then if you wanted to, you can just let that glue dry and it will just dry clear, or if you wanted to, you can get some glue and just put some on this little tiny piece, and you can add it right back in here. But technically, because you have the cranberry cardstock in that background, you don't need to do that part. And then that's what it gives you, this cute little peppermint. And then the only other thing that I'm going to do to this is just take my strawberry ink, and I wanted to just ink up the edges just to add a little bit of strawberry color or some red color to the edges of that. And isn't that adorable? It's just a little peppermint. And then the pieces that are left over, you can just make and save for another project and layer it the different colors with the cranberry on top and the white in the background. That way you're not wasting any of those die cut pieces. So we have this piece, and then we have 2 of these. You're going to need to take this die, if you have this die, and die cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of cranberry cardstock, and then 9 pieces of white cardstock, and then layer them on. I've already done all of mine. Now another thing that you can do is, well, number 1, you can use your wheel dies that come in the set, and you can just die cut some wheels out of those and, you know, be done with that, and just, you know, use a traditional style. So another option would be, if you have paper that looks like these peppermints, this is from the Hope and Joy collection, you can cut out these little round peppermint, so cut out just the circle part, and those will also fit perfectly on that portion of the wheel. So just some options there. And when that cuts out, that's what it looks like. So then you can just put it right there on the front of that wheel if you wanted to, and that would look super cute as well. So now I'm just going to add these peppermints, and I'm just going to put some glue just around the outside of that circle, and then just pop that right on there. And the reason I didn't put it on the back side of the peppermint itself was because there's holes there in the middle, and I didn't want glue to be seeping out of the hole. So just add your peppermint wheel or whatever wheels that you're going to add to your train, and do it for all of those sections. So we'll add that one, and then I'm going to do it for the rest of them, and I'll be right back. So I went ahead and added all of my wheels, so you can see all of the wheels. Next, I want to take these 2 pieces, and I want to add a little border. So I have this little border die, and I die cut some of the red paper. This is actually the same red paper that came from a solid sheet of the same pattern paper pad. This die is from the Stamps of Life September card kit. So at this time of filming, it's not for sale. So some of you might have it, or you might have some other border dies that you might want to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm just adding a little bit of glue, and I'm just adding a little decorative border to the top of this section of the train. And I think that will just add for some, just a nice little decoration. So I'm going to flip that over and just trim that down. And I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of this border. So we'll go ahead and add some glue, and then we will add that, flip that over and trim. And I just think that adds a little nice touch to those little train pieces. So here's a little present that I'm going to die cut and paper piece. I die cut it out of some pattern paper and some strawberry cardstock. And with the strawberry cardstock, I'm just going to cut the middle portion because that is going to go here. And I'm also going to cut the ribbon off of the middle going horizontally. That one is going to go here, so I'll have to glue all this on. And then I'm going to cut this piece off. Now, if you wanted to use stamps, you totally can do this, but I chose to use all dies with this card. And this present is from the Elves to Stamp dies. And that will go right on top of there, and then we'll just glue all that together. So I'm going to add glue to the back of the bow and just add that right on top. And then we'll do the same for these other pieces. And there's my present. Isn't that cute? I also die cut some candy canes out of some cranberry cardstock. These are from the Gingerbread House Fold It die set. And I'm just going to use a white gel pen just to add some lines. So you can see what that looks like. Isn't that cute? So I just went with the lines that were already in the cardstock and just traced over them. I also have a gingerbread man that I cut out of the gingerbread man die from the extras for Snow Globe die set from the Stamps of Life. And I'm just inking up the edges with some ginger snap ink. Just want to make him look a little bit toasty. Now I had previously cut this out, and you see there's a white gel pen mark there. And I'm going to finish that up by just adding some of the white gel pen to the other lines in this gingerbread man. Not that the ones on the bottom aren't even going to show, so I don't even know why I'm adding those. But I'm going to add one here on his mouth as well. I also took this same die and I die cut some cranberry cardstock. You can see I have some buttons there, which I will add in once I start putting my card together. And I'm also going to die cut his eyes and add some black to the eyes, and I'll do that a little bit later. So I'm going to set him aside for now. I also took the Christmas tree from the Snow Globe to Stamp set, and I die cut it out of some pattern paper as well as a shadow layer out of the artichoke. And I'm just going to ink up with some artichoke ink the edges of the layering piece, the one that's with the pattern paper, just to add some dimension, and then we will add that to the shadow layer. Now, for the actual front part of the train, I want it to look like there's a snowman driving the train. So there's two options that you can use here. This is a very small window, so you need to have a really small stamp to be able to fit inside of there. So this option right here is the Snow Globe to Stamp set, and I just stamped out his face, colored his face, his hat, and a little bit of the scarf, and then just cut out the little piece there. I didn't even need the whole snowman. Another option you can do is you can cut the snowman from the corresponding paper pad. So this, you can see, it's part of the paper pad. This is from the Piece collection, and I just cut that away. Now this snowman is much smaller than the stamped image. I shouldn't say much smaller, but it is smaller. So you can see how it is smaller. So if you have this, it's going to fit much better in this window, just like that, okay? Now, if you don't have it and you happen to have the stamp, now what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to just kind of, first of all, cut to the edge, number one, and then you're gonna have to bend this just a little bit in order for this to fit right inside of there, just like that. Now, it's not gonna fit straight unless you trim him down just a little bit, but that's okay. And I kind of think that's a little bit cute, just like that, kind of to the side. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this little guy down just to the train itself. I think that turned out super cute. So I'm gonna use that as the driver of the train. So the Snow Globe to Stamp set has a stamp that says Merry Christmas, and I probably should have stamped this out before I started adhering all of these parts, but obviously I didn't do that. So here I'm just using a powder tool, putting some powder on there to prep my surface. I am going to use my Versamark ink because I'm gonna do some embossing. So there's the ink pad. So I'm gonna ink that up, and then I'm gonna come over here and just try and make sure that is in the middle and press that down. And then I'm going to put some white embossing powder over top of this. And then we will heat set that. So there's the sentiment. Then I cut another one of these scalloped borders just out of some kiwi cardstock, and I'm just gonna ink up the bottom of this just to add a little bit of ink to it. That's in the artichoke ink, just because that's what I had on hand. And I'm going to add this to my train. And then just get some small scissors and just trim off that side. All right, let's go ahead and start placing all of this on our card layer. So we have our card layer, and we have the front part of the train, then we have this one, and then this one. And I'm just going to lay everything out where I want it. So I also decided I'm gonna add some gumdrops, and I think I'm gonna put them with this gingerbread man. I think that would be really cute. So I cut some gumdrops. Here's the gumdrop die. This is from the Gingerbread House Fold-It. I tell you, that Gingerbread House Fold-It has so many cute dies with it. And I die cut kiwi and cranberry cardstock, and we will add those there. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and start gluing everything down. I'm really liking the way that this is turning out. So just make sure everything is spaced where you want it to go. And when you're gluing down, this can be adhered flat, this can be adhered flat, but this one and this one, you're only gonna wanna put glue on the sides, okay? And then maybe about halfway down, because you want to leave some space that you can tuck these things in. You can put glue on the wheels. Same thing here, just on the sides and the wheels, and then maybe about this far down so that you can tuck the presents and the candy canes in. So I'm going to go ahead and start adhering this to my card. So here I'm just adding the buttons. I'm just putting a little thing of glue in the center, and then I'm just going to add the cranberry cardstock. Now, if you don't want to add the cardstock pieces, you can always use maybe some of the 3D ink or use some Nuvo drops. So now I'm going to do the eyes. Now these little pieces are so tiny. So if I had the 3D inks in black, which I ordered some, I don't have any yet, but it will be here soon. I'm just going to put in that little piece of cardstock that came out of the gingerbread man when I die cut these parts in the licorice cardstock. And there's his eyes. Isn't that cute? Look how cute this little scene is. It's adorable. So next we have to connect these train parts. Now I believe that this die in the die set is to do the lines to do that, but my pieces are a little bit too far spread apart, so I'm not going to use that. Instead I have this pattern paper, and I am going to use this. This pattern paper is from the Mary collection, in case you have it, or you can just die cut some regular cardstock and just cut some thin lines, but this is how I plan on doing it, is just cutting these stripes out, just like that, and then just measuring how much I need, okay? So just measuring how much I need, and then I'm also going to take this die and I'm going to die cut, let's see, 1, 2, 3 of them out of the Storm cardstock, and what that gives me are these little dots. So I've already cut down these little candy cane striped pieces, and I have these little dots that are going to go on the ends that are going to connect all of these pieces together. So let's go ahead and get this done, and I've already sized these down how far I need them, and I'm going to go ahead and add them to my card. So these little dots are, I'm just going to put a little tab of glue on it, and then just put a dot right on the end, on both ends, to cover up the harshness of the cardstock. Isn't that cute? And it looks like little candy canes. I love it. So next we have another one that I've already cut, and I'm going to go ahead and add that one, and I'm going to finish this up. Oh my goodness. I love this. So I'm going to add this last gumdrop. I might as well use it since I've already die cut it, and that's going to go right there at the top. So next we need to add this to a card base. So I have a piece of strawberry cardstock, and I have my die for my Slimline card base, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. Now if you happen to not have that Slimline card die, you can always just take a regular piece of cardstock. You're going to cut it down to 8.5 by 7 and score it along the 3.5 inch mark. And that will cut your card base, or that will make your card base. Okay, so we're going to add that right on top. So next I'm going to take my Nuvo glitter drops. This is the Silver Moonstone color, and I want to add some sparkle to these gumdrops because gumdrops definitely have sugar all over them. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out and then take the tip and just move that all over the top of the gumdrop. I think that's so cute. So I'm going to do that for all of them. And isn't that adorable? Oh my gosh, I love this card. So leave me a comment and let me know what you think of this card. And be sure to subscribe and sign up for notifications so that you can be notified when I release my next video in my 12 Days of Christmas series. Thanks for watching and have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.